Welcome to Livestream. Hi there. Oh, it's good to be back. It's good to be back with you. Let me get rid of that. There we go. Hey, I just want to say, I'm looking good today. Come on. Right? Come on. Right? Like 9:30 this morning, my wife was like, hey, you want to go? I got to run to the used bookstore to get some books. And I was like, yeah, well, then we'll go to the Asian supermarket and I'll get some ingredients for a Thai curry. And we were like, yeah, we're adults. We can do that. We threw our clothes on, dressed up. And that's what I do. You know, some people go to a bar or a club on a Friday night. I go to the used bookstore in the Asian supermarket with my wife on a Sunday morning. I looked in the mirror. I was like, oh, I'm looking all right today. So, you know, I just wanted to, you know, I clean up okay. Yeah. Woodshop teacher vibes. I'd take that. I'll take that. You could do maintenance on the grounds of a golf course. Not exactly what I'm going for. Going to Home Depot, yeah. I styled the hair really well. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. I'll take that. Yeah. And you know what else? And I know this is not what you come here for, but I gotta show you. I finally got a with no logo, a white enamel dial with applied indices. You see those 3-dimensional indices? A white enamel logo with applied indices for this watch. And it is, I love it. I've been just wearing it for like 5 days straight. It was always not quite what I wanted. And now it's exactly what I wanted. And I'm so happy. And I just wanted to, isn't that good? I finally found this dial in the right size, which I hadn't been able to find. Reminiscent of a Tudor Black Bay Pro. It's a San Martin. It's a Chinese watch. Of course, at this point, only the case is really San Martin, because I've put a new movement in it, and because I broke the old movement the last time I played with it. And these are different hands. And the dial I specifically changed out because I didn't like the San Martin logo on the dial. So it's inspired by San Martin, inspired by Tudor Black Bay Pro, and I'm feeling good this morning. So. Unfortunately, since I last changed the dial, it's running slow by like a second to 2 seconds an hour, I think. So I might have to take it apart and work on it some more. That's how it is. You're not here for any of that. You're not here to tell me how good I look. Although, you know, you can. You're here to talk about FPV. And that's what I'm here to talk about too, believe it or not. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to take your questions. Blunty's queuing up the questions. Look at them coming. Look at them coming in. Queuing them up. They're coming in. We've already got 9 questions queued. I better get on it. Let's see here. Let's take this question from Crom in the Discord. Any magic solution to cleaning motor bells from metallic debris? Steelworks, it's a Steelworks bando. Crom shared this picture. Hold on one second. Anybody ever had this happen to them? Ho ho ho! Oh ho ho! Oh, that's that's bad. That's bad, friends. That's really bad. Oh my god. Oh man. Oh man. I would just like to say, in my life, when I've had that happen to me, the first thing I do is I just go and I try to get it out. And if that didn't do it, there's a fair chance that I just write the motor off and call it a day. Because it's a world of pain. So the first thing I would say is, don't fly at a Steelworks bando or you're going to kill motors. Okay, but you clearly didn't take that advice. Blue tack. He says blue tack isn't working great. Blue tack, what you can do is you could take the bell off, and you could go in there with blue tack, which is this sticky putty, and it'll pull them off. You could get some cleaning slime. They make this cleaning slime, and it's I've seen commercials for it for like your car, where you have all these little dusty crevasses with crumbs in it, and you take this slime and you squish the slime down into the cracks, and then you pull the slime up and it pulls out all the dust. There are various materials like that. The other thing that is commonly done, and Crom, I suspect you know this, but just in case, is compressed air. You can blow the stuff out with compressed air. You got to be a little bit careful there. I've heard people say you don't want to blow the compressed air straight into the bearing because it can blow the lubricant out of the bearing. I'm not sure how much I believe that. I think the lubricant that's in the bearing is fairly, well, I don't know. Anyway, but compressed air. And just a lot of prayer and elbow grease, you know? Yeah, I don't have any better ideas than you, my friend. Blue tack, slime, compressed air, and get out your wallet and buy new motors is the actual answer. And don't do that anymore. Get a bigger magnet. Yeah, the solution for a magnet is a bigger magnet. I don't know, man. I hope you got some good footage. And just pray you don't crash. I mean, yeah. That's a mess, dude. That's a mess. I don't know. If you figure something out, you let us know. What's your favorite drone size for ripping in empty parking lots? Sandy asks. You know, I mean, my favorite drone size just for ripping in general is 5-inch. Right? So it would be 5-inch for ripping in empty parking lots. And I would say, oh, you can't, what could you do in an empty parking lot? I wish I had a link to this video. I don't. I recently saw somebody flying in an empty parking lot and just absolutely making a meal of it. And you would normally say, well, it's just a big empty parking lot. How creative could you possibly be? There's what obstacles are there to work on? But like, this guy was tearing it up in the empty parking lot. I was like, there you go. No excuses, guys. No excuses. Whenever I find myself thinking that my tools are inadequate, like if only I had a better camera lens, if only I had better motors or better goggles or a better controller. If only I had some, and then I think of the opening scene of this. It was a movie. It was a documentary about Jack White of the White Stripes. And in the opening of the documentary, there's this montage of him, and he like hammers a nail into a board, and he strings some wire across the nail, and he's just like, and what he builds is basically a single string electric guitar, which is just like a nail hammered into a board with a piece of like rusty wire across it and this open pickup placed underneath it. And then he just starts playing the shit out of it. And in this interview, he says that like sometimes he'll go to the thrift store and he'll just buy this toy piece of crap guitar from the thrift store that's made for a child to get on Christmas morning, and he'll just see what kind of music he can make with it. That like he likes to handicap himself with his tools to force himself to be a better artist. And I think of that anytime you find yourself saying, it's just an open field. What can I do in an open field? Oh, if only I had some obstacles to play with, I'd be a better freestyle pilot. And then someone invented Spang, and Spang is just an open field most of the time. You kind of can't Spang in a tight environment, but Spang just absolutely looks amazing in an open field. Anytime you find yourself saying that stuff, and this is not the question you asked, San, exactly, it's just a little detour from me. Anytime you find yourself saying that stuff, kick yourself in the ass and say, what could I do? What could I do differently? How could I be more creative? How could I up my skill level? You know, because it's never about the tools. It's never about, I mean, sometimes the tools help, but if you can't do it with a piece of crap tool and your own creativity and skill, then you're not suddenly going to like unlock something when you get a better tool. So my favorite drone size for ripping in empty parking lots, my favorite drone size for ripping most places, 5-inch. So, what's a good choice for? That's freaking annoying. I don't know what the deal is. It's just started doing this. OBS, I gotta upgrade to a different version of OBS or something. It's started doing this thing where it just freezes up and then comes back and it's like, no, I'm good. What about you? Weird. Yeah, it skipped. We're back. I don't know what that was all about. That's going to throw your timestamps off, Blenty. Sorry, dude. I'm sure you should be able to get it back, right? You just skip everything forward on the timeline, right? I hope.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know it's annoying. I don't know what's doing it. It's literally OBS just freezes. Anyway. The advice is the same because like at the end of the day, HDZero and analog are not that different. Come on, there you go. Like they're just radios and they need a signal. And so like the antennas, good antennas are the same antennas. I guess an argument you could make is that HDZero needs a higher gain antenna more than analog. With analog, you're going to have like potentially 2 or 3 watts of output power from the VTX. With HDZero, you're going to max out at 1 watt. And as a result, you're not going to get, I'm trying to get this antenna how I like it. You're not going to get as much range out of HDZero. And the HDZero signal itself is not massively like robust in the face of interference, not obstacles, penetration. It's okay in a clear, open space, and so I would probably say that you could argue that HDZero calls for a higher gain antenna than analog. So like you might try the X2 Air, which is a 13 dBi antenna. Like, I would be more inclined, if I ran HDZero all the time, to do something like this, the X2 Air, and get that little bit of extra gain. I think it's like 4 extra dB compared to the X Air. But the bigger antenna would annoy me. So, anyway. Kofas asks, my drone has a problem. After a throttle punch, I get uncontrolled yaw spin. I would say that it's a desync, but after that, the O3 video quality was also ultra bad. Uncontrolled yaw spin. I'd love to see DVR. Kofas, you're in the Discord. You're a patron. You're in the Discord. Can you possibly share a video of this? We're going to give Kofas a chance to respond. It would be great to see a video. So we'll put this on pause, and I'll re-click the question, Blunty, when we get back to it to make it easier for you to find. But let's pause that one and see if Kofas wants to. It would take 10 minutes. Oh, yeah. Kofas, post it in the Discord. And if I don't notice when you post it because I'm streaming, like tag me or tag Blunty, and we'll come back to your question, okay? I'm going to unselect your question, but I'm going to leave it in the queue. Anybody know definitively if it is degrading to the Avatar Pro VTX to run with only one antenna? No. It will not damage the VTX. The radio amplifiers on the Walksnail Avatar VTXs are protected from damage from running without an antenna. Unlike like an analog VTX, which will burn out if you run it without an antenna. The Walksnail VTXs are safe to do that. However, obviously you're going to get, there's a reason they have two antennas and not one. And so, presumably you will see some reduction in range, reduction in video quality. I don't know. Some reduction in performance in some way. But you're not going to break it. So you may as well just go for it. It might not be as bad as you think. It might be better than you think. Jason Aviator wants to know if there's a good case or bag for the Goggles 3, the Avata, and the Neo 2. No, I mean, sure. I took your question, Jason, because I see you're in the Discord. You're a patron. I want to respect your question. But at the same time, I don't have I would just have to go search for a bag that was a good fit, and you could do that as easily as I could. Probably better because you actually have the equipment in front of you and you kind of know approximately how big it is and what you're looking for in a bag. So no, I don't. Goggles 3 does not fit the Avata 2 bag. Goggles N3. Yeah. Okay. Would you ever do a tutorial on how to change your sounds on the Radiomaster Pocket with HDX? Do you mean just change the sound pack? I'm not sure. So, if you just want to change the sound pack, what you'll do is you'll go to HDX Buddy, which is just Google search for HDX Buddy. It's buddy.hdx.org. And then at the top, there is Radio Backup. Oh, that's new. You can back up your models and restore your models. That's pretty cool. And then SD card content, okay? The SD card content, you can, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this because I don't actually have an SD card plugged in. But in the SD card editor, you can select which sound pack you want. That's the simplest thing to do. Just let it handle it. The longer version is, you know what? I can show you because I have a backup of my SD card content somewhere. Hold on. Oh, I do. I'm sure I do. OpenTX backups, Radiomaster Boxer, SD card. So, can I zoom in here? No, I can't. That's a shame. Let me just zoom in like this. So here's the SD card from my old Boxer radio. And in the sounds folder, these are all the languages that are there. And basically, it's probably set to English, EN. If you basically put whatever sound file you want in that folder, so you can see here is en.original. I've modified this. I just renamed en to en.original, and then I copied it and named the new folder en, and I downloaded the sound pack and I dropped it in that folder, and that just modifies the sounds to match your settings. Was that helpful? Is that what you're looking for? Hopefully it was helpful. Here's a $10 super chat from Thomas Winningham. Thanks for helping everyone get in the air, getting everyone in the air all the time. Oh, well, thank you for $10. I appreciate the donation. I'm not going to show you this email. Occasionally, I'm passive-aggressive. And occasionally, I think I'm too subtle with my passive aggression. Here's what I mean by that. Where is it? Come on. Yeah. So this guy sent me, I'm not going to show you the email because I don't want to dox the guy. This guy sent me a question. He was like, "Hey Bardwell, I just ordered a GepRC drone with an 04 air unit in it from GepRC, and it hasn't shipped, and they gave me tracking, but the tracking showed..." It was basically just, he said, "Is this normal? Is this a normal amount of delay, or am I getting the runaround?" And I said to him, "Hey, listen, man, it sounds like a normal amount of delay. I'm sure you'll get your drone eventually." But sometimes when people ask me questions, I think they feel a little bit guilty that they don't contribute to my Patreon or whatever. And I don't care. I mean, when someone asks me a question on the Discord, I go, oh, I check the Discord more often. I check my Discord messages because I know those questions are coming from patrons, and I respect the fact, I think that would be disrespectful of me to not pay a little bit of extra attention to the people who pay me money. But fundamentally, I also check my email multiple times a day, and I answer everybody's questions. I don't really deprioritize people who don't pay me. I don't really care. But sometimes people, I think they feel a little bit guilty. And so he started his message by saying, "Hey, Bardwell, I'm not a patron. I promise I'm going to support you when I get my financial situation worked out." He didn't have to say that. In fact, it's better if you don't. Because he then went on and said, "Hey, I just bought this DJI O4 drone from GepRC." And I'm like, well, it sounds like your financial situation is doing okay. And I don't care. But something about it's not hypocrisy exactly. But it's like, don't plead poor when you're buying a $500 drone. Just say, "Hey, I bought this drone. And I don't want to join your Patreon. I don't feel like it." Don't say that. That would be rude, but I don't care. So I said to him, I answered his question. I said, "Everything you've described sounds pretty normal. GepRC is responding to you." I fully and politely answered his question. And then I was like, "Just hit send. Just hit send, Bardwell." And I couldn't do it. I had to be passive aggressive because I'm just not that evolved. And I said, "Please don't worry about contributing. I help everyone who emails me for free. Next time you email me to ask a question about your $300+ drone, don't feel obligated to explain why you don't have enough money to support me. Just ask your question and I'll answer." And he said, "I can't thank you enough for all the information you share." And I thought, was I too subtle? If none of the passive aggression got through, I don't know. I don't know. It's $2. Don't ever tell me, "Oh, I can't afford it." It's $2. You could. You just don't want to. That's fine. There are a million things in this world that I could afford that I don't want to afford, and I don't buy them. I don't care. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Anyway. What did I want? Did I want to get a rise out of him? Did I want to go, "Hey, fuck you"? No. I wanted him to join my Patreon. It's $2. Calm down. It's not that much money. Ugh. Anyway. Well, the jerk store called, and they're out of you. Anyway. Oh, is there any, Evangelosio? Thank you for €2.49. Is there anything similar to remote ID in Europe? I don't know. I don't think so, but there will be soon. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Hey, somebody in Europe, Crom. Is there remote ID in Europe? I don't think there is. I think they have size classes and licensing classes. Kai P says there is remote ID in Europe. It's just not required for custom drones yet. Oh, okay. Thank you for that. UK has the same remote ID setup as the USA, although the UK is not Europe, as we all know. Well, it's not the EU. It's Europe, but not the EU. Okay. Yes, there's remote ID in Europe, and it will be expanded as far as I know. Well, obviously it will be expanded. We know that, right? Regulations will expand.
It's probably going to be worse there. I don't know how the remote ID laws are exactly going to work, but you also have to register a drone any size if it has a camera, including a tiny whoop. So I hope you don't have to have remote ID on any registered drone. Maybe somebody can tell me. Kofis posted the videos in Discord if you want to scroll up.
Okay, so I'm going to re-click that question. Kofis asks, my drone has a problem. After a throttle punch, I get uncontrolled yaw spin. I would say that it's a desync, but after that, the O3 video quality was ultra bad. Any suggestions? Here we are. Here are the images from Kofis. Let's take a look. Let me see if can I full screen this? Can I open in browser? Okay, that's fine. We don't have any sound. No OSD either. That's a shame. Maybe this must be from onboard. All right, here we go. Where's our throttle punch? Oh, wait a second. I thought that's not a yaw spin. Okay. That's why I wanted to see it. So I would not call that a yaw spin at all. I'm not trying to nitpick you, Kofis. I'm just like troubleshooting. And I didn't see a throttle punch. So he said after a throttle punch, what I pictured was you going up in the air, this big long throttle punch, and then it spins out. But what actually happened is like the minute you touched the throttle, it rolled out. Now here's what I want to look for. I'm going to frame by frame this. And I want to look. There it goes. It started to go. What direction is it going? Back left. Okay. Do you see? That's the very first thing I want to see. It started to go back and then tip to the left. It's rolling back left. Okay. That tells us that the back left motor stopped making thrust. We can also see over here that the front right prop at least is still spinning. Front left prop still spinning. Okay. So the flight controller is still alive and trying to fly the drone. It hasn't disarmed, for example. Back and to the left. And it's probably going to crash. Yeah, okay. Let's look at the second one. And we're looking to see the exact same thing. Oh, now that was more interesting. Let's watch it again. That's a yaw spin. That is a yaw spin for sure. It's not rolling back to the left. It's spinning on the yaw axis. And I'll tell you why that's... Okay, hang on. There we go. It dips front right, and front right, and spins. That's wild. Now... It's just yaw spinning. It's climbing like crazy, and you disarm. Woo! Okay. So, the first one, I would say, is a classic desync. Now, desync, like, it could be a number of things, but we call it a desync. It could be a bad motor or a bad ESC are the main things that cause that. Damaged motor, damaged ESC. The fact that it happens right when you jam the throttle is pretty normal. When you jam the throttle, the motor has to accelerate rapidly. And when the motor tries to accelerate rapidly, it could be spinning fine. It's still damaged. It's spinning fine at low throttle or when it runs smoothly. And then when it tries to accelerate rapidly, it loses it. It desyncs so the ESC can't drive the motor anymore. Richard FPV asks, CPU brownout. No, I don't think so. If the CPU browned out, the signal to the ESC would stop and all the motors would stop. The fact that the motors remained spinning, and in fact, in the yaw spin, we saw the drone climb. The flight controller was actively trying to fly the quad through this whole thing. Now, usually when there is a desync, quote-unquote desync, we see what we see in the first one. One of the motors dips and the quad rolls in that direction until it hits the ground. We identify that it's the back left motor. And then we replace the motor usually. And if it still does it, we replace the ESC. That's the short version of the troubleshooting. But the second one isn't a desync. In the second one, I feel pretty confident that all 4 motors had to have remained spinning. And Blunty, if you're listening, to give me a second opinion on this, because we saw it yaw spin mostly flat. It was wobbling a little, but the horizon stayed mostly flat, and it climbed. And I don't think it's possible for that to happen if all 4 motors weren't spinning. If one motor stops, it's going to tumble like that. It cannot yaw spin upwards. Blunty, agree, disagree?
Oh, that sounds right. I didn't really watch the videos, but your description sounds correct.
Okay. So
you'd have to have 2 motors drop out identically to make that happen, and the other 2 motors will be pushing around, and then possibly would have enough thrust to keep the. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, but even then, like you would think it would tumble if you lost.
You would probably get a tumble because you only had axial. But Bone Drone works, but it works because they're opposite, right? So yeah.
Well, Bone Drone has 4 motors.
Oh right, 2 on the bottom and 2 on the top.
2 on the bottom, and they're slightly offset. If Bone Drone couldn't fly if the motors were not offset slightly, they're very slightly offset, but they are offset. You couldn't get roll axis. So if you have a quad,
happened on that one.
Yeah, and AH Compy asks the same question. If you lost 2 motors, the drone could spin and gain altitude, but the chances are that it would roll because you'd lost 2 motors. It would, and so instead of going straight up and spinning, it would go like that. Or something. Yeah. So Brandon Beans, I don't think that's true. I think if you lost 2 motors at the same time, hypothetically, it would still roll over. That yaw spin like that, to me, that doesn't point to a motor or ESC problem. To me, that points to a flight controller problem. Which is weird because the first one definitely points to an ESC or motor problem. Go ahead, Blunty.
Right. What I would point out about this situation is one of these situations we're a little confused about, and the other situation we are sure you had a desync on the back left motor. You know what I mean? So like there could be other issues happening, but my takeaway from this would be, well, definitely I've got desync, so I need to figure out why I'm getting desyncs on the back left motor.
Yep. Troubleshoot the problem. Yeah.
Possibly all the motors. We just saw the one video, right? And the other one that didn't necessarily show as a desync. But like, you may be getting, like, commonly when this happens, it's like a motor mismatch, and you're getting, like, you're going to commonly get desyncs on all the motors sometimes when you hit the throttle too hard or when the amperage goes too high or whatever. Or sometimes it can be a motor issue, and then you're only going to get or an ESC issue, right? And you're only going to get desyncs on that one corner. And then that would be, something you could troubleshoot out.
Brandon Beans asks, did he disarm it when it started spinning? It would just keep spinning. Yep, valid. And Brandon Beans, I have a ton of respect for you. You've troubleshoot a lot of issues. You help a lot of people. So, like, I definitely consider you a peer here. But I'm also just going to shoot down every idea you suggest. Please don't take it personally. I don't think it would climb. So if we go back to that second video, I think we very clearly see it climbing. So look at his altitude here. And then right at the very end, we can just, there we go. Here it starts going. Okay. And I think we very clearly see it climb before he disarms. Oh, that's it. That's all we're going to get. So, like, if we compare here, look at the horizon, to here, I think it's gained altitude. And I don't think it would gain altitude if he had disarmed. Yeah, it's definitely climbed. And climbing during a yaw flyaway is very common.
Chat wants to know if the desync could be a loose prop.
No. Well, yes. Okay. The first one could be a loose prop. Generally, a loose prop will not just go from 0 to nothing like that. It doesn't mean that it can't. But, like, if you had a prop that was holding on so loosely that the minute you touch the throttle, it immediately goes, then probably it would have been slipping for, like, the last 2 minutes. And you would have hit the throttle and would have gone, and caught. Or you would have heard a screeching sound. So, like, here's a hypothetical. You use Loctite on your prop nuts, and the prop hub exploded, and the prop just immediately disintegrated. Okay, but then he would have said, "I came back and I didn't have a prop." Like, I think if it was a loose prop, I don't think that looks like a loose prop because loose props tend to go more gradually, and also he would have said, "Oh, and I had a loose prop." So yeah, I'm gonna say no.
So the other thing we should say is, like, if you have black box on this drone, what you should really be doing is logging the black box and then submitting that in the Discord so we can review that.
Agree. And I think the yaw spin is more interesting than the desync. They could be the same issue. They almost feel like different issues, though. Because a flight controller problem isn't going to cause the desync that you had. Like, theoretically, the flight controller could have a damaged motor output, so that periodically, like, motor number 1 loses signal. That would look like the first one. But I think it's more likely that the first one points to the motor in the ESC and that the second one points to the flight controller. That's what I would say. Yaros, that's a really great point. There's recently been an issue with some AM32 ESCs where a setting gets misconfigured and it makes the ESC super unresponsive. And, like, I don't remember exactly how it happens. Is this... Oh, no, this is the exact thread. Thank you. This is the exact thread I saw. Look at this. Do we have sound? Yeah, we do. Let's watch that again. Now, that's not exactly what we see, but... where's the person who
I would just say,
points out the issue?
My experience with AM32 is I've seen, like, 4 now ship with 0 on the temperature setting. Like, the temperature, like, the, not 0, but, like, you know, you can drag the temperature and it doesn't, there's no temperature setting.
Yeah, it doesn't have a temperature sensor in the ESC at all. And then it shuts the ESC down because it thinks the ESC is overheated.
Right, and they're shipping them with some kind of temperature limit instead of having it set to no temperature limit. I've seen that on 4 drones now.
Well, that's a mistake. I don't know who's whoever's shipping them like that should be slapped. Here's the issue that maybe this is related. I had this exact same thing happen when I updated AM32 from 218 to 219. After the flash, I changed some settings and hit save. 219 added a new setting called ramp rate, and the configurator didn't read the default value, but had the slider at 0. So when I saved my config, the default 16% was overwritten with 0.1%, and that set the ramp rate super low. And basically what that does is it makes the ESC super slow to respond and makes the PID controller just lose its shit. That doesn't feel like what's happening to you because you were flying around pretty normally, but again, maybe that's the issue and it's worth knowing about. Should make a video about that issue. All right, we're gonna wrap up talking about this one. We don't have a solid answer. Yaros, what did you update? I'm sorry, not Yaros, Kofas. Yeah, anyway, okay. We're gonna wrap this one up. Kofas, I hope that was, if not helpful, at least entertaining. Mupshot wants to know, my throttle gimbal on my new TX15 Max is inconsistent in tension. Is Niogel a recommendation for AGO2 gimbals? Yes, I would always add some of that. I love adding some of that throttle lubricant. I love this stuff. Now, they ship them pre-lubricated. But basically, this is... First of all, don't let the fact that it says oil mislead you. That's a mistranslation. This is a very thick, tacky grease. I would call it a grease. And what you do is you put it on the slider of your throttle, and it makes the throttle smooth and have just a little bit of damped resistance. If you want like a little bit, it's almost makes the throttle stiffer, but like in a good way, not in a, I don't know how to put it. It makes it smooth too. That might help. I don't know why your throttle would be inconsistent tension though. I mean, it's just a bar with something with a spring pushing against it. So sure, try Niogel or oil or lubricant. Not oil. You don't want a liquid oil in there. It's going to get all over the place. Yeah. You know, speaking of the throttle, I watched this video from Niels Vo. By the way, Niels Vo is making some really excellent content right now. Really great content right now. If you don't know Niels Vo, he has 14.8 thousand subscribers. He should have more. This guy's making amazing content. Look at this. What am I looking? There's another video he did. First of all, he's a great pilot. Oh. No. Sorry. He said how I made my drone indestructible. That's a quality YouTube video. I'll tell you what. That is a quality title. It's a good thumbnail. It could be better. It could be a little better. I feel like this isn't quite eye-catching enough, but It Never Breaks is good. Like the thumbnail could be the drone like smashing into a wall or so. I don't know. We could workshop the thumbnail, but you know, he's making good content. He just did this video about throttle control.
Good throttle.
And one of the things he talked about is setting up your throttle. Now, far be it from me to argue with results. This guy's a good pilot. But people have different opinions and they're all good pilots, so like there isn't one right way. But I hate this advice. I disagree with this advice. For me, I disagree. Well, you don't have that great throttle control, Bardwell. Maybe you should try it. Well, maybe I should. Look what he does to his throttle.
So that means the throttle should be pretty light and it shouldn't stick, if that makes sense.
Look how loose his throttle is.
But I can maybe show you with this zip tie. So if I push on here, you see it's sticking a little bit and then makes a big jump once it starts moving. It's still pretty light overall, so it's not that big of a deal, but it could use an oil change soon. But if I take my old radio, for example...
He wants his throttle. How loose does he want it?
Because out of the box they
like,
usually...
so loose.
So don't... Setup is that you should be able to reach full stick easily and...
Yeah, so like, my rule with the throttle is that I want my throttle loose. But if I go like this, I don't want my throttle to fall. I should be able to take my hand off the throttle, which I sometimes do. Like sometimes when I'm flying, I'll like put the throttle somewhere. I'll keep flying with the right stick. The drone is just kind of going like this, and I'll like, adjust my goggles or swat a bug or whatever, and I'll come back and I'll put my hand on the throttle. I do not want my throttle so loose that it will move when I release it. That's my rule. And he seems to be making an argument that the throttle should be like as loose as you could possibly want it. I don't know. But the other argument I would make is like, okay, my thumb can move the throttle however I need it to move. Right? Oh, I have my overhead camera. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at that. My thumb can move the throttle however I need it to move. If I make the throttle stiffer, guess what? I can still move it. It's not hard. Like, it's not like, I moved it. Replay those sounds for your wives, guys. I'm watching Bardwell. It's not like it's hard. Now, like, obviously, some people prefer a stiffer throttle. Some people prefer a looser throttle. I do agree the throttle shouldn't feel rough. It should feel smooth. But, like, if I've got a little more tension on the throttle, that's okay. And actually, I would make the argument that having a little more tension on the throttle can make it easier when you're making very small adjustments to kind of like feel when it's moved. Especially if you're a beginner and you haven't developed that touch and sense of feedback yet. Beginners often like accidentally move the throttle and don't realize they're moving it. And I wonder, this is just hypothesis here, I'm just speculating, if having the throttle be super loose and super smooth would actually make it harder. Like when I move the throttle, I can feel a little bit of rubbing, just a little bit, not like in a bad way, but I can feel it a little bit when it moves. And so if I'm making very small adjustments, I can feel them. Anyway, I don't know. But I saw this video and I was like, this is a great video. He's got exercises about your setup and then exercises about how to, like, things you can do to try to improve your throttle control. It's a fantastic video. You should totally check it out. But I did react a little bit to how loose he makes his throttle. I was like, I don't know if I would like that. Anyway. Simco wants to know the proper size of drone after having your first 65 to 85 millimeter whoop. Simco, that depends more about where you want to fly and how you want to fly than anything else. Once you can control a drone, like you could basically, take off, fly around, land, not crash into things, and not endanger people or property. At that point, it's just a question of how much money you want to spend when you crash. If you can fly a drone and you say, I want to get a 10-inch, I want to get a 12-inch, I want to get a 15, okay, well, there's a limit because at a certain point, it's so dangerous. Like, I know, I just finished learning to fly my 65 millimeter whoop. I'm going to go fly a 24-inch heavy lift drone weighing 15 pounds. Oh, okay. Like, at that... hang on. Most people, even experienced pilots, shouldn't just go fly a drone like that. But let's say anything from 7 inches on down. Let's just arbitrarily draw the line at 7 inches. Where, like, if you screw up and you hit yourself with a 5-inch drone, you're going to have a bad day. You might get stitches, but you probably aren't going to die. Right? Let's just say, whereas, you know, if you crash a 5-inch drone into somebody's car, it's going to suck. But like if you crash, like if you hit somebody with a 24-inch heavy lifter weighing 15 pounds, like that's, okay. And also that's going to be, you're going to spend $20,000 or something, $15,000. Okay. So like, let's draw the line at 7 inches. It's just a question of where you're going to fly. If you live in a heavily populated urban area and you intend to fly at a park where potentially there are other people around and you're just going to find a corner of the park where there aren't too many people, but like maybe somebody would come walking around the corner, I probably wouldn't go much above 2 inches, maybe 3 inches with prop guards. Maybe 3 inches without prop guards if you're super careful. I wouldn't go much above that. If you fly in a suburban environment, it's a fairly open suburban street, traditional American suburb, homes on half-acre lots, quarter-acre lots, whatever, with a backyard and a front yard kind of a thing. Well, you could probably easily go up to 3 inches. I might hesitate to go above 3 inches because a 3-inch drone can be relatively unthreatening and unobtrusive. It's relatively quiet. You're probably not going to piss off your neighbors, but you start ripping a 5-inch around, like, I could imagine accidentally dropping a 3-inch drone on my neighbor's car sitting in his driveway and going, shit. And like, maybe I didn't do any damage. Maybe I like put a scratch in the paint. I have to go apologize and maybe give him $500 or something, but like you drop a 5-inch on a car, it's going to make a big dent. It's going to potentially break the window. It's a bigger deal. It's all about how much risk you can tolerate, where you're going to fly, and what kind of flying you want to do. But as far as your skills as a pilot, there's no need to progress from a 65 millimeter to a 2-inch to a 3-inch to a 5-inch to a 7-inch. Yes, the stakes are higher and the money is higher with the bigger drones, but ultimately the lessons you learn are the same. And as long as you're not a dumbass about it, then it's more a question of like the type of flying you're going to do and where you're going to fly than anything else. Let's see here. We got a super chat here from Atreides FPV. Does the Radiomaster Android have replaceable batteries? I think it does. I'm pretty sure it does. I think it has 21700s. I don't actually know. Somebody told me it did. And I was like, oh, well, not there. Oh, hang on. Let me go to my overhead. I have an overhead cam. I keep forgetting that. Not there. Yeah, it doesn't have a battery bay. That's for sure. I gotta put this stupid thing back on. Does anybody know? Does it have internal battery? Does it have? It doesn't have changeable batteries, if that's what you're asking. You could plug it into USB. Oh man, this is so annoying. You could plug it into USB and you could charge it as you go. I don't know if it will charge fast enough though to be able to fly, indefinitely. So frustrating to have to stuff these stupid things back in. Don't do it on the live stream, Bard. We'll just save it for later. No! There we go. Everything has to be just right. It says dual. I know that the specs say dual 21700 battery system, but like, yeah, Blunty.
It has two 21700 soldered inside of it.
Yeah,
so
I was
they
gonna
are
like
technically replaceable by desoldering.
Yeah, they're not. It's obvious that they are not accessible without opening the radio, regardless. So
yes.
Okay. Thank you for looking that up. Sergio Mendoza, thank you for a $5 super chat. My new 6S FPV batteries sat unused for over a year, and now one sells at 2.9 volts. Should I charge them or replace them? At 2.9 volts, I would charge it. It might be okay. If it was at 2.5 volts, I probably would throw it out. 2.9 volts is right on the line. Sunshine, thank you for $5. Am I gatekeeping at the jerk store thinking this is kind of dumb? I like models, but it seems like a waste of a 3-inch frame. Link in Discord. Sunshine. Where? Oh, see, the question. Okay.
He hasn't posted it yet.
Oh. Sunshine, post it. He's posting right now.
At least as far as I know, it hasn't been
The
posted.
Air 75, Sunshine. I'm taking your question. Okay, here we go. Micro Air Racing official trailer. Okay, I have to mute the audio. Why am I muting the audio? Is it copyright? Okay, what is this? Micro Air Racing official trailer. Why am I hearing? I said mute. What the? It looks like an airplane. This isn't a trailer. This is, what is this? It looks like an airplane. Fine, whatever. I still don't. That's. So they look like airplane fuselages strapped onto drones. A waste of a 3-inch frame. Wait, are these? These are renders though.
No, these are.
Oh, these are real. Oh my gosh, look at this. What has he done?
You just slapped a 3D printed head on top of a 3-inch.
I mean, whatever. Live your dreams. Were these models? Is this not a render? Is this an actual model?
Yeah, these are real drones.
No, right here.
You can see those are little people. Look at those little
okay.
models and stuff.
I originally thought these were renders. That's like, I think that's very cool. Why does it look like shit even though it's at 1440p?
I think you're going to get...
That he built this little... Yeah, that's so cool. Go ahead, Blunty.
I think you're going to get a lot of older people with this. Like people who are into model planes and stuff are going to be like, oh, I didn't realize you could do that with the drone, and it's all styled together. People who do crawlers or RC stuff like...
And I respect the amount of work this person's put into building these fuselages. Are they 3D? If they're 3D printed, they're like painted and surfaced beautifully. Like there's just a lot of really skilled model making that goes into making this little scene. I'm intrigued. Like, I want this to be an anime. You know what I mean? I want to know more about the pilots who fly these little drones. I want them to be big vehicles, you know. It reminds me a little bit of Pod Racer. Obviously, these are not pod racers, but in the way that Star Wars created the Pod Racer as just this novel kind of vehicle and built a racing culture around it. So, like, obviously, there's no point in having the fuselage. It doesn't make the drone fly better. It just adds weight. But whatever. These are cool little creative vehicles that someone made. Now it doesn't matter. Like, you can't see it. Right? At this point, it doesn't matter. They're cool little models. I wouldn't fly them because, number one, I can't see it when I'm flying it. And number two, I wouldn't want to break these beautiful, beautiful little models that this person has made. So, yeah. Like, there's no reason to build... Like, the idea is that they're building a racing format around this. There's no reason for that. It's purely cosmetic. It's cute. It's cute, and it's very skilled model building.
I mean, you mentioned Pod Racer. I would like to have somebody make a Pod Racer version of that.
Could a Pod Racer even fly? I mean, if you made it rigid and it just had, like 4 wheels or 4 props. But, like, if you actually had 2 motors out front joined by, like, pod racing is based on horse and chariot racing. That's inspired by chariot racing. You have horses out front of a chariot. I wonder if you could, like, actually build one of those. Like, each of the motors.
I guess what I mean is, like, those planes also don't have 4 propellers where the propellers are on those planes. They're just there, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, those planes don't have 4 propellers in the same location as the drone. We're not trying to fit it to the... Like, you wouldn't have to have them forward with the Pod Racer. You would just fit stuff over the motors to look like the Pod Racer.
Yeah. Well, that wouldn't be as cool.
Yeah.
All right. Those are I think they're cool. I think as a drone, they're kind of pointless. But as a cool little model, I like them. And I respect the skill that went into making them and the dedication. Like, here's the thing. I'll say one more thing. The world needs more people who are just living their dream. And I would encourage, and I'm a curmudgeon, and I hate everything. I think everything is stupid and pointless and dumb. So, like, but I try to be aware of that. And so when you see somebody and they're just living their dream and they're not hurting anybody, because let's face it, so many people today are living their dream, and their dream is to make life worse for everyone except them. Right? And we look out at the world and we go, why do these people get to live their dream and I just have to work my job 9 to 5, as if I'm working 60 hours a week. I can't pay my rent. I don't have health care. My life sucks. And these horrible, horrible people are out there living their dream and laughing it up. Why? Where did we go wrong? I think it was Harambe, but that's just my personal opinion. So when you see somebody out there who is harmlessly living their dream and just adding some delight and creativity and whimsy to the world, just shut your mouth, pat them on the head, and say, good job, bud. Keep it up.
Yeah, and be happy that they aren't doing it with AI. Like, these days, the best you're going to get is somebody writing something that's not written with AI.
You do tons of things with AI. Why? Here, let me ask you this.
You know how annoying it is to read a fucking article?
Okay, no, you're right. Copy with AI.
It's like,
yeah, you're right.
I'm so tired of reading the stupid Claude phrases, the stupid ChatGPT phrases. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how anybody writes like that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I made a thumbnail with AI. I got shit for it. I didn't make the whole thumbnail with AI either. We've come to the inevitable part of the live stream where Blunty and I talk about AI. Here's the thumbnail. Oh, come on. I just want to see the thumbnail. Can I download the thumbnail? Hang on. Can I download it? Yes, I can. Okay, great. Here was the thumbnail.
Yeah, I saw that one come up. I figured you were going to get something about that.
And I was like, I don't know. What am I going to do for an Express LRS 4.0 thumbnail? Like, oh, Express LRS 4.0. Like, you need something for the thumbnail. And I was like, this is a perfect application for AI. And so I came up with the idea, and I generated it and put the sticker on there. And they were like, oh, AI slop. Like, all right, come on, guys.
Well, as much like there's a bunch of people who automatically like AI and think it's amazing, and there's a bunch of people on the opposite end who, for no reason, also hate it. Like they don't actually know why they hate it, or they have a hypocrisy about the things they like and hate about it. But that's kind of how life is, right?
Yeah. So like, I saw a YouTube thumbnail. Actually, I bet I can find it. Don't look at my YouTube search results. They're pretty harmless, actually. Yep, there it is. First one. Can I have the thumbnail? There we go. This thumbnail pissed me off. That's clearly AI generated. And it just has a look. It has a fake look that I don't appreciate. It's the same as when you see the AI generated people. They're usually, well, in my timeline, they're usually AI generated women. And they're trying to, like, I don't know what they're trying to do. They're trying to probably get you to subscribe to their OnlyFans or sell a product. And they just have these uncanny valley, perfectly symmetrical faces with these slightly too wide smiles. And I'm like, I can tell that you're trying to, like, trick my brain into reacting in ways that I'm not consciously aware of. You're trying to bypass my rational brain and connect directly with my reptile brain and ultimately get me to, like, probably pull out my wallet. And I don't appreciate it. And I think the same thing when I look at this, the AI generated food. I'm like, because the problem is, oh, sorry, wrong. The problem is that, and this has been happening for a long time, we've been talking about the same thing. We've been having the same argument about, like, photoshopping models, right? And the argument of if we Photoshop models to make them look inhumanly good, that everyone else gets body dysmorphia to some degree or another. Obviously, some people, like teenage girls, get it much worse. And they all develop eating disorders and want to get plastic surgery. And like, we've been talking in an abstract way about this for a long, long time, right? But I feel like AI, like, really kicks it up a notch. Because ultimately, like, I think AI kicks it up a notch. Because, like, it's not just that we can make this inhumanly perfect person that no one will ever look alike, no matter what. But we can make food, except the food is not just, like, inhumanly delicious looking, but also it's weird and fake. And it's just like, rubs my brain the wrong way. I don't like it. Like, why is it grossly spilling over the side? Why does it look so gooey and greasy and just like, stop. But here's the thing. This is different. Okay? This is different. It's a cartoon. I made it a cartoon because I didn't want... A human could have drawn that. When I use AI, it's okay. That's called special pleading. Anyway. Thank you for a $10 super chat from Atreides FPV. Oh, shit. I screwed up. I didn't do Haruto Hiro. Okay, hold on. I'll get back to his. Atreides FPV, thank you for a $10 super chat. Radiomaster Android, to replace a Cosmos streamer, it would need to charge and stream at the same time. Is that possible? No, it's not. Because if not, the Cosmos streamer is better. Yep, you're right. That's a very good point. As far as I know, it can't charge and stream at the same time. I did plug in a USB OTG adapter with external power, but it did not power. It did not charge. So, shit. Can it charge from the DSC? Oh, no. Oh, I take it back. No, it can. I tell a lie. I'm so sorry. Whoop. Let me start that question again. Atreides FPV. Radiomaster Android, to replace a Cosmos streamer, it would need to charge and stream at the same time. Is that possible? Yes, it is. Because it has a charging... Because it has a charging port on the bottom. Charge only. It charges on the bottom. Yep, it can charge and stream at the same time. Ha-ha! Whee! Ooh, that was a close one. Now, will the charging keep up with the discharge rate? I do not know. But yes, it has a separate charging port. Whew. Please have micro USB. Shut. What's wrong with you? Why would anyone want micro USB? Okay, now we have a question from Haruto Hiroki 2. Thank you for $5, Haruto Hiroki. Are there any differences between a G3 bought in Japan versus one bought in the US? Provided I'm doing the ham file mod on both. Haruto, I've never heard of DJI releasing different goggles in different regions. I know that the Japanese market is sometimes special. I don't think there's any difference, though. Like in the Japanese market, there's a 100-gram limit instead of a 250-gram limit, for example. But as far as the goggles go, no, I don't think so. Once you do the ham file mod, you're good to go. And DJI goggles always support the ham file mod because sometimes you might buy the goggles in Europe and then take them to the USA for vacation or for a job. And so, like, the ability to change region is not like a secret hidden hack. It's a feature because people move around the world, or you might sell the equipment across between two countries. Yeah, so you're good to go there. I think you're good to go. CMS Justin, thank you for a $10 super chat. I really want to build, but I won't have many opportunities to fly other than our backyard, and I don't want to bother our neighbors. Good for you. That's very respectful. Is 2.5 inch worth it? Yeah, 2.5 inches is great. And it's significantly, I wouldn't say better, but different, if you will, than whoops. Like, you'll get a lot more speed and acrobatic ability out of a 2.5 inch compared to a 65 and a 75. So absolutely, it's worth trying.
I would also say FPV Cycle recently restocked. You know, TP3 is a great drone to fly in a backyard.
Really? I thought FPV
or
Cycle
Baby
was
Tooth?
dead. Yeah, Baby Tooth.
Like, I mean, you can't hear a Baby Tooth. Baby Tooth is a 1S 3-inch. I mean, toothpick, and it's like silent.
It's running. As quiet
and
as
even
it gets,
the TP3 isn't super loud because the noise profile is different than a heavier drone. Yeah. So, yeah.
On 2.5 inch, I think 2S is plenty. I think 2S is plenty, but I'm sure there's those who would disagree. OTR Flyer, thank you for a $10 super chat. I updated my Tango 2 with the Pyrodrone gimbals and Radiomaster Nomad. Updated to ELRS 4.0 and it works great. But when I turn dynamic power off, it fail-safes. When I turn dynamic power off, it fail-safes? Instantly? I wonder whether the Tango 2 can't provide enough power to the module bay to power the dual transmitters on the Nomad. And when you turn dynamic power off, it goes full power. And then, so here's what you do. Turn dynamic power off, and then manually turn the output power down to the minimum and see if it fail-safes. and then turn it up by 1 notch. And if you find that above a certain output power, it fail-safes, what's happening is that the Tango can't provide enough power to the module bay. That's my first guess. OTR Flyer is chatting, is typing in the Discord. I'm going to wait 1 second for them to ask their next question or reply, and then we'll move on. Type faster, OTR Flyer. Oh, no, that's not normal at all. No, absolutely not. I'm just guessing here. The Tango 2 is a fairly old radio, and Gemini objectively requires twice as much power as before Gemini. So I think it's plausible that the Nomad module pulls more power than the Tango 2's module bay is rated for.
Wait.
Joseph Tahari says you need to do the power mod. Oh yeah, power it from the XT30, of course. That's absolutely what you should do. It's got an XT30 adapter. Go ahead, Blenty.
I see what you're saying. Okay. I'm trying to figure out why the Gemini, but you're just saying because there's extra packets, you're going to have more power to send
It's got 2 radios. It's got 2 radios. They're run both. So a non-Gemini module puts out 1 watt. A Gemini module puts out 1 watt times 2. So it pulls twice as much power.
Right, but I'm wondering, doesn't it go back and forth? No, they send at the same time, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, that's why.
For sure. But the answer is use the XT30 on the bottom of the Nomad, and if that fixes it, then that confirms it's a power issue. Isn't the module bay directly connected to the battery? I don't know. Is it? It's been a million years. It's been a million years since I put the module bay on the back of the Tango.
It doesn't use battery
because the module takes 5 volts.
Yeah, it has to go through a BEC at least.
Yeah, so the module takes 5 volts, not 2S. I mean, many of the modules can take 2S, but the assumption is that it's 5 volts. Yeah, okay. All right. AH Company, thank you for a $10 super chat. I have an HDLRC M100 5883 GPS. That's a GPS. No matter what orientation I set it to, the mag snaps 90 degrees and always the wrong way. Any tip? I have a good one that has a working mag for the new 25.12 stuff. So
aren't there 2 rotations in Betaflight?
What do you mean?
Like, are we talking about the rotation in Betaflight? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, when he says, when you say the mag snaps 90 degrees, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Because, like, there's a gyro orientation and a magnetometer orientation.
Yeah. What does he mean? What is he seeing when it, quote unquote, snaps 90 degrees? He still hasn't answered the question. Where is it snapping 90 degrees? How is it snapping? Suffice it to say, there is a correct orientation. The default orientation is CW270 flip. But that's not always correct. The other thing is that like a lot of times the firmware will get its heading from both the GPS and the compass. And if the compass is misaligned, you can get really weird results. So my guess is that you don't have the correct compass alignment. And if you find the correct compass alignment, it will just work. But like finding the correct compass alignment can be tricky.
There's also a CLI setting for the mix, right?
For the mix? What do you mean?
Between GPS and magnetometer.
The ability to say don't use the GPS?
Yeah, well, I think there's like some kind of a mix, like a weighting or a mix, I thought. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, if that's true, I'd love to hear about it. But I'm not aware of that. I think we might have talked about that in a previous video, but it's ringing a bell, but I'm not really much. No. What I found, though, is that, like, you would think that if I put the compass orientation in wrong, that instead of facing north, it'll face west, and then I'll go, oh, I'm 90 degrees out, right? But I found it's not that simple, especially when you have both a GPS and a compass. And getting the correct... And then the other problem is that if you have electrical interference, that will also throw off your compass reading. So you could be 90 degrees out of orientation and your compass could be another 35 degrees out of orientation because of miscalibration or because of electrical noise. And it just makes it very, very hard to get everything working correctly. What I had to do recently was, and it sucks that you had to do this, but I was working with this GPS module recently. And as you can see, there is nothing on the underside of the board. I just saw this for the first time. Has this always been here? X, Y, Z. Wow. The orientation is printed on the underside of the board. Fantastic. So the default CW270 flip means that the magnetometer is on the underside of the board. Well, that's clearly not the case. So I had to go look, and eventually I found, you're not going to be able to see it in this picture, but this is the magnetometer, I'm pretty sure. And by looking at the actual GPS in my hand, and then I downloaded the data sheet for the stupid chip, and I looked. Okay, here we go. XYZ, right? And here's the dot. This is the dot on the chip. And so I went back to mine. I found the dot and was like, okay, XYZ. And just by looking at the orientation of the chip on the board, I was able to get the correct orientation. I now see that they have printed it on the underside. La-di-da, good for you. Maybe that wasn't there at the time, I don't know. But like ultimately, no, HGLRC M100 5883. Ultimately, what you can do is you can look at the device. No. Open image in... Oh, shit, you piece of... Just let me fucking see the image. So, is this... I don't know, because I can't zoom in on the stupid image because your stupid website. I'm going to guess... That says G sensor. I'm going to guess that this is the compass here. Okay. The compass chip, the magnetometer chip, is on the underside from the GPS. So that's going to be flip is the correct orientation. And then what chip is it? What magnetometer? It does not say. That's lame. Does it have a compass at all? It does, because it has SCL and SDA. That means it has a compass. What is the compass chip? It doesn't say. That's dumb. What is your compass chip? I can't read it. I can't read the letters. I'm trying to help you here. Why would you not tell me what your magnetometer chip is? You idiots. That's annoying.
It's named 5883, so it's probably 5883, right?
Is that it? Is that a magnetometer? I don't know that off the top of my head. Is 5883 the magnetometer? Okay. Thank you, Blunty. Bardwell's dumb. He didn't know something. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the HMC 5883L or QMC 5883L.
Okay. All right. Just give me the data sheet. Don't make me jump with your stupid watermarks. So now what I want to look for is the XYZ orientation. There we go. Okay, got it. So here's the dot. Here's the orientation dot. X is that way, Y is that way, and Z is this way, up, I guess. Yeah. Top view. So Z, positive Z is usually up. Okay. Okay, so orientation dot here. So X is this way, Y is this way, and Z is this way. And so we're going to want X facing forward. So with the plug facing forward, X, Y, Z, it's going to be flip. Is that 0 degree flip? I think that's 0 degree flip is the orientation, but I'm not 100% sure. That's what you got to do. I'm not sure I got it right, but hopefully that was at least a little bit helpful. Curtis Beef says the orientation in Betaflight is based on the relation to the gyro. So if your FC has the gyro on bottom, it causes some funkiness. Are you for real about that? So if you flip your flight controller over, it means that your magnetometer orientation is now. Why would they make those two things? Why wouldn't they make those two things independent? That doesn't make any sense, but okay. Yeah. Good luck. Turtle Hat. Thank you for 10 Canadian dollars. I've been out of FPV for over a year. Is there anything I've missed? Nah, nothing's really changed. DJI 04 is still the best, yes, but DJI can't get FCC licenses anymore. So the 04 is still good, but you will have trouble getting the next generation of stuff. New Betaflight, yep, Betaflight 2025.12. Also, there isn't Betaflight Configurator anymore. You just go to app.betaflight.com. It's an online web app. You can download it using this button here. You can download it onto your hard drive, but there's no, if you try to install Betaflight Configurator, you can't, there's no installer on the GitHub page. So that's new. Yeah. That's a few things that are different. Analog is not dead. Analog is honestly stronger than ever. Especially now that DJI has been banned is a strong word. ELRS has definitely, quote-unquote, beat Crossfire, at least in the market. ELRS is far more popular than Crossfire today. Unreality FPV, thank you for a $5 Canadian. Living their best life and making feel-good FPV content. I'd like to bring attention to the Beep and Honk show. Okay. Beep and Honk show. The Beep and Honk show. I don't know if I want to hear music because it might get, I mean, I guess they're not getting copy struck.
Hi, I'm Beep. My brother Honk is running the camera today. We are the Beep and Honk show. We are drone bees and we answer tech questions. Well, the reason we're both not at the shop is because we're on the road today for a business trip. And we still shot this segment anyhow, answering a question. Today's question comes from Priya, who asks, can you show us your tools to see reveal travel-friendly FP is inches deep. But let me just show you one thing real quick. On the outside of the box, I've set up some bungee lines so I can hook things to it. And the first thing that I've got hanging on the side of my case is actually the landing pad that I use. And you should always use something like this because it's easy to help you sight your drone, especially if you're in an area. It's not anything impact resistant, and I need to get a new battery for the smaller drones.
Cute. Cute. Very cute.
Like,
I guess that's one way to not put your face on camera. Very cute. Thanks for pointing that out. How do you power your charger? It's saying it doesn't have enough power. I mean, I have a 1200 watt rack mount server power supply that I adapted. Probably you just need a higher wattage. How are you powering your charger? That's the question. What charger is it? And how are you powering it? Need a little more information here, Pharaoh Zosic. Unreality said that's not the best video to show their content. Well, what do you want from me? I went to their page, I clicked on a video that I thought looked interesting. What do you want? If you had a specific video you wanted me to show, you could have called it out. Okay. I'm going to guess you have a Whoop store. And you're plugging it into USB, and it's saying not enough power. All right. So you need power delivery, USB PD, not just regular old USB. Okay, here we go. We have a specific video being requested. It's their Express LRS video.
hi, I'm Beep. My brother Honk is running the camera today. We are the Beep and Honk Show. We are drone bees and we answer tech questions. Today's question comes from Maddie, who asks, what is ELRS? What is Edge TX? They get mentioned together a lot, but can you explain what they are? Well, that's a great question. ELRS informally stands for Express Long Range System.
Okay.
Seated next to a trainee pilot,
I think he's just pointing out they built the whole set behind them, the miniature set.
Set throttle 30%.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay. That's a nice set. Oh, we got two B's here.
Behavior spelled out with a range of acceptable commands and.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Fine. That's cute. It's cute content. I like the extra work put into the text on screen. That's really useful to highlight points and help people increase comprehension. This is very nice. Okay. I failed to see. That was pretty much the same. Okay, you saw the set. That's cute. It's pretty much the same.
Hey, real quick PSA. Flywoo has 04 Air Unit Pros in stock.
Ah! Okay, go buy them. Speaking of bees, I watched Begonia last night. Have you seen that movie, Blunty?
I have not.
Highly recommend. Jesse Plemons, great performance, and the whole movie, I was like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm here for it. And then that's all I'm going to say. I'm sorry. It was Jesse Plemons was Oscar nominated for this performance. I'm sorry you haven't heard of Begonia, but like it's an Oscar nominated movie. Objectively, it's like not like some niche thing that no one's ever heard of. Sorry, Begonia. Bugonia. It's a movie. It was nominated for an Oscar. Anyway, it was I would watch a movie just for Jesse Plemons' performance. I love him as an actor.
I mean, I haven't seen most movies. Just to be
I'm
clear.
not spoiling it. By the way, I'm not spoiling it. I don't think it's spoiling it to say that I didn't know where the movie was going. If you watch the first 20 minutes of the movie, you also won't know where it's going. And that's all I said. Go ahead, Blunty. Sorry.
Which is, I don't watch any movies, so.
Okay, well, never mind then.
It's not surprising I haven't seen this. Like, I've never seen Rocky. You know, I've never seen The Godfather. You know what I mean? Like.
So you're not a movie guy. You don't enjoy. You watch TV shows though. Like we've talked about TV shows that you've watched. You just don't like movies. Yeah. Is it the 2-hour attention span that you're just not here for? Yeah,
the story doesn't move fast enough in most movies, and it's super boring and a lot of cinematic bullshit. And I don't care about any of that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the cinematic. I like cinematic bullshit. Like, and again, I'm not going to spoil the movie in any way. Like, it has Jesse Plemons. He puts in a great performance. And suffice it to say, it's a movie where there's ambiguity about what kind of movie you're watching and where it's going to go. But I'm not going to do anything more to spoil it for you because that's part of the enjoyment. But I will say it's shot in a 3:2 aspect ratio, which is reminiscent of 35 millimeter film, and the color grade. It looks like a color grade like from a 1980s movie. As if it was shot on film stock in the 80s, and yet they're using like lenses from the year 2026 and cinematography and acting and directing and producing techniques from the year 2026. But I really enjoyed the artistry of the actual cinematography. And to watch a feature film in 3:2 aspect ratio, like we're so used to 16:9 or 2:35:1 aspect ratio that I think we've lost a little bit of the language of how you frame like a 3:4 or a 3:2 shot, and like the visual language of just the composition of the shots was so novel because it wouldn't have been novel in the 80s because we'd all be watching stuff on 4:3 screens, but like it was really like refreshing and interesting, and I just really enjoyed it just from that perspective. But the movie and the performances are also. And then at the end I said, and again I'm not going to spoil it in any way, but I said to my wife, you didn't like that ending, did you? And she said, I didn't like the whole last hour of the movie. And I was like, meanwhile, the closer we got to the ending, the more my eyes got huge, and I was just like, I love this so much. So, anyway. Yeah. All right. What do you think is the best GPS for a 5-inch quad? It has to be an M10 GPS. That's about it. Most of them are about as good as any other as long as they use an M10 chip. If you have a choice between one with a little teeny tiny antenna and one with a bigger antenna, get one with a bigger antenna, if you can. That's about it, though. I'm so impressed with Jesse Plemons, by the way, as an actor. Like, he was nominated for an Oscar, so this is not like a hot take.
He's great in Fargo.
I didn't see him in Fargo. The show?
The season 2 of the show, yeah.
So, here's the thing, though.
People and you like movies, you should watch the show Fargo, because it's a long movie 5 times. It's very good.
Oh, that's tempting. I don't know if I want it. We just finished Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. My wife and I did a Better Call Saul / Breaking Bad marathon.
Yeah, Fargo's in my top 5 series, and it's 5 different shows. It's great. Wow. Every season's a different show. You can watch each season independently. It's amazing.
Do I have to have liked the Fargo movie to like the Fargo show?
No.
Okay. I liked the Fargo movie,
vibe, but it's it's sort of the same vibe, but it's not. It's much no. It's much more fleshed out.
Okay.
So it depends on why you didn't like the movie.
I did like the movie. I do remember, and I watched that movie. It was a long time ago when I watched that movie. And I watched it at home on a DVD. So it wasn't even when it first came out, but I was in college. I remember having to pause Fargo and just like be like, I need a minute. I don't remember at what point in the movie I had to pause it, but I distinctly remember there was a point in the middle of the Fargo DVD where I was just like, hang on, I have to stop. I just have to walk around the house. I get a drink of water, use the bathroom, clear my head, and then I'm going to sit down and finish this movie, but I cannot keep watching this movie right now. And that's like one, I can't think of another movie that did that to me. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why.
If anything, I would say if anything, the show solves that by spreading it out a little more.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Because it's so many, 8 episodes, 10 episodes.
Did you like Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul more? That's tough. They're both a character study in a different way. I think one of the things that's common between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul is that all of the characters have a fatal flaw that they never, like a lot of times the character arc will be that a character has a fatal flaw, it gets them in trouble, they learn from it and they overcome it, right? But in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, all of the characters have a fatal flaw and ultimately it remains their weakness and eventually destroys them. And it's almost a really sort of cynical message about humanity. It's not inspiring or uplifting. I don't think it ever set out to be. But like for Walt, his fatal flaw is his ego and his pride. He will always, he shoots himself in the foot many times throughout the show because of pride. The most obvious one that comes to mind, so I think it's safe to spoil Breaking Bad. It's been out for decades. But I think probably the one that comes to mind is when he's at dinner with Hank and Hank is like, this Heisenberg thing, I don't know. I think it's over. And he's attributing that Gale was the chemist who cooked the meth, and Walt's drunk and he cannot resist being like, I don't know. I don't think it was Gale. And it inspires Hank to then keep investigating. And Hank eventually finds out that Walt is Heisenberg, but his pride got the better of him. Gus Fring, like he wanted to keep his hands clean, even though he was in a very, very dirty business. He thought he could keep his hands clean while doing very, very dirty work, and eventually, and anyway. So every character has a fatal flaw. From that perspective, I think Better Call Saul is a more interesting show because of the way it spends the first 3 seasons really fleshing out Jimmy's character. Whereas in Breaking Bad, we pick up the character at the end and we don't get a lot of glimpses into how he became the way he is. Whereas in Better Call Saul, we see him from way back when, and we really understand how he came to be the way that he is, and then how ultimately that sort of brings him down. Anyway, so I think Better Call Saul is a better show, but they're both really good in their own way.
They wrote Breaking Bad as it went on.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Better Call Saul, they knew where it was going.
Well, they were constrained by the canon of Breaking Bad.
Right. So to me, I like Better Call Saul more because I'm about world building and universe, and I think it was better, like the way Better Call Saul built on top of everything, threaded everything together, and that was basically like this character study instead of this crazy violent show that, Breaking Bad was.
I feel like Jimmy is a more, like Walt is just a horrible narcissist. Walt's a horrible person and a narcissist and like he's just not likable in almost any way. And Jimmy, I think, is flawed. And I think they spend the first 3 seasons showing his relationship with his brother Chuck and showing him fighting to try to be like a better person and failing. And I think Jimmy's just a more nuanced character and a more interesting character when he has his sort of fall. Whereas Walt's just a horrible narcissist who is finally given permission to go off the rails by his cancer diagnosis. And then it's just the story of him being a wrecking ball through this, that's an interesting story. So, anyway. Enough about that. That's going to go on the Clips channel, right, Blunty? That's definitely going on. I know it's not FPV related content, but that's going up, right?
We're on hiatus for so long that yes, everything will be a clip.
Wade Cloyd, thank you for $5. Is it me or does analog cameras increase latency with the more TV lines they have? Yes, that's absolutely true. That is not, I don't think it's like universally true, but maybe it is universally true. Generally speaking, the higher TV line cameras have more processing and therefore have more latency. You're 100% right about that. Alex Brain 69, thank you for 10 pounds. The TX15 Max and base TX16S are the same price where I shop. Which would you say is the best deal for the money? TX15 Max, 100%. The fact that the TX15 has the 1121 chip in it alone puts it over the top. Also, the TX16 only outputs 250 milliwatts, whereas the TX15 goes up to 1 watt. Neither of them have Gemini, so doesn't matter there. But yeah, no, TX15 for sure. Yeah. Oh my God. We have so many questions, Blunty. We have like 28 questions queued. We have 15 minutes left. I'm going to see if I can like rapid fire some of these questions, okay? Have you seen Mindhunter? It's pretty good. Yes, I have. We're not going to do another 15-minute diversion, but David Fincher is one of my favorite directors. I love Fincher. I liked almost all of his movies. And Mindhunter was amazing. I know that Fincher didn't direct all the episodes of Mindhunter. He just started it, but like when I heard about it, I was like, yes, I'm very sad that Mindhunter didn't get a second or third season. I think it went out after the first season. I thought it was really good, and I was very sad about that. Glazer FPV says I'm giving out bad info. What bad info did I give out? What did I give out? He said the base TX16S. Did he mean the Mark III? If it's the Mark III... Oh, okay, fine. If it's the Mark III, then yeah, they both have 1 watt. And they both have the 1121 chipset. Yeah, they're more comparable. He said the base TX16S. I assumed he meant the Mark II. Why didn't he say Mark III if he meant the Mark III? Whatever. Thank you for the clarification. Neither of them support Gemini. They both have the same output power. They both have the 1120. No. That's not true. The Mark III does have Gemini. See, I'll get there eventually. Well, if you think you want Gemini, then obviously get the TX16S because it has Gemini and the TX15 doesn't. But it's a much bigger radio. It's a real commitment. So I'm not sure that Gemini makes as much of a difference as you think it does. Yeah, Blunty.
Did you answer which GPS you think is best for a 5-inch? Or did you pull that up and then move back?
I did, but I just was like, get an M10 and then get a bigger one if you can, and that was the end of it.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Getting back to the speed round. Are unusual machines for the FPV community or just military contracts? You have to make... I can't read their minds. Like, what does it mean for a corporation to be for the FPV community? Define the FPV community. Like, this whole sentence is flawed. Okay? A corporation is not... A corporation just wants to make money. Okay? Like, and the FPV community is this amorphous thing that everybody defines in whatever way is convenient for them. So what you need to do is you need to look at the things that Unusual Machines does and decide if you want to support that with your purchasing dollars or not. That's the bottom line. I was flying and the capacitor disconnected. I lost connection to the drone. There was a burnt smell. I connected the battery and I only get 3 beeps out of the ESC. Sounds like the flight controller is not powered up. Maybe the flight controller fried when the capacitor broke loose. Yeah.
Typically, the capacitor burns loose, right? I mean, that's what.
Yeah. But it may, if it short circuited the flight controller, then it might have fried the flight controller. I've seen a lot of cases where the capacitor breaks loose and the flight controller fries. I don't really 100% know why, but I've seen that a lot. Here's the other thing I would say. All companies try to make money, and these days going after military contracts is a way to make money. What is Unusual Machines doing for the FPV community? So that's the question, because they're obviously also going after military stuff. And if the military stuff is disqualifying for you, which it obviously isn't, or you wouldn't have asked the question, but if it is, then that's just the end. What is Unusual Machines and Rotor Riot doing for the FPV community? How do you feel about that? They sell drones. They sell hobby drones. Do you like their hobby drones? Do you feel good about that? Like, do they lobby? Have they talked about lobbying efforts? Are you aware of them? Like FPV Freedom Coalition trying to improve regulations for the FPV hobbyist? As far as I know, they haven't announced that they've done that. So what we see is that they sell drones. They sell, I like the drones they sell. I think they're good drones. Some people think they're overpriced. I think that's debatable. They have good customer support as far as I know. They do community-based stuff like Quads and Coffee in Orlando. Like they have an open warehouse. You can go in, you can handle stuff. You know, so like there's ways in which they do things that other companies don't do in the FPV space. And then people are like, yeah, but then Unusual Machines has Don Jr. as an investor and is maybe doing shady shit on the back end. But that's all. I think a lot of that is speculation. Unless the fact that they have Don Jr. as an investor is itself disqualifying for you. So, can I charge unbalanced batteries? Yeah, you just need to use a balanced charge mode. Nuclear Squirrel, and if they're unbalanced, why are they so unbalanced? Nuclear Squirrel, from your video, it sounds like you're not loving the AX12. Do you think it's flawed from the start, or could it be great with proper software and apps? I think it has a place. I just think it has a few things it's pretty good at. It has some things that it can do that it's not very good at. Like the joystick. The game controller joystick function, I think, is not very well implemented. But if you need to do the things it's good at, I think it could be very good at them. It's just, I'm not, like, on a day-to-day basis doing those things. The number one place I could see myself using it is either for DJI video out or for Q ground control with an RG Pilot drone.
Hey, can I one thing real quick?
Yeah.
If you check the link in the Discord, I'd like to just shout out real quick that something's happening with the rules in drones, and it's very weird because it's so positive. So this is 44809. This is a modification of 44809, the recreational rules we fly under in the USA. And the only modification this makes is basically allowing the FAA to give us access to Class E airspace. Because right now it's only E2 they can technically give us allowance of, and this will allow them to give allowance in more airspace for recreational drones. Presumably, this is for AMA fields, but we cannot figure out who submitted this. It may be the AMA, it may not be. But either way, this seems to be passing right through. Nobody argued about it so far. It's just an extension of our rules that allows us more stuff. I think it's kind of interesting that that's happening with basically no pushback, and we're getting more recreational drone rights. It's not much, but it's something, and I expect everything to be taken away normally. So.
Yeah. And that's not an FPV Freedom Coalition push. You can't take any credit for that, huh?
Correct. Yeah, we can't figure out who did. I think we have feelers out to ask if AMA did this, but nobody's taking credit.
So then what I can infer is that there is actually some sinister reason that this will screw us over, and it was some shadowy billionaire who pushed it through, and we just don't yet know how it's going to screw us over.
It's possible. What we're hoping is instead that it's the opposite, and somebody just slid this through without anybody really knowing or caring.
Fantastic. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm thinking about getting the Beta FPV Meteor 75 Pro 04 as my first drone to practice indoors. Is it a good pick? I think that if you get the Meteor 75 04 as your first indoor drone, that would, well, yeah, I guess that's fine. You want, see, the thing is, you're going to be indoors, so you need the smallest drone you can get, but DJI is not optimal on 75. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, the Pavo Pico would be worse. Yeah, it's okay. I don't think there's a better DJI Tiny Whoop that I would recommend. But also, I don't think the 04 is ideal in the 75mm size class. What should I buy a Fat Shark Predator used for $30? That's tough because the Predator is so old that it's basically useless, but also it's only $30. I don't know. Put it on your face, fly with it. If it works, it's probably worth $30. But that's a terrible goggle. I mean, it was good in its day, but it's so old. What's the best soldering iron? Frick. Sugan T21. How much difference does your soldering iron make? Sugan, these nuts. Sugan T21. That's the best one. Or an equivalent iron. There are similar irons, but Sugan T21 is the one I settled on. That's it. This is lightning round. I'm not going to go into more detail. Bloke Jikas. Is it normal that my neighbors call the police if I fly my Air 75 in my garden? No, your neighbors are assholes. That's not normal. Your neighbors are assholes. And hopefully the police also think your neighbors are assholes. And what I would do in that situation is I would be like, sorry, my neighbors are assholes. I didn't do what they said I did. I'm so sorry they wasted your time. Have a nice night, officers. Because ultimately, this is between the police and your neighbors. All you do is you say, I didn't do it. Thank you for your, that's all I have to say to you guys. Good night. You're not doing anything illegal. The police have no reason to bother you. They need to go to the neighbors and say, prove it. Show me video. And then they'll say the neighbors, stop bothering us with this nonsense. No, do not say, I don't have a drone. My neighbors are delusional. Glazer FPV. Never lie to the police, especially when the lie is so easy to disprove. All the neighbors have to do is get one cell phone video of you flying your drone. Now the police know you lied to them. Now you're the bad guy. Now the police have it out for you. Do not lie to the police. Just say, I didn't do it. I have nothing more to say. Have a good night. Sorry that these guys wasted your time. That's it. That's all you have to say. Why isn't 4-inch popular? Because it's not different enough from 5-inch to make it worth the downsides. Also, 5-inch motors, by the time you get to 5-inch, the motors are a little bit bigger and more durable. When you're in 4-inch, the motors are really, like, the prop is big enough to break the motor really easily, but the motor is not strong. It's just a really awkward in-between spot. It's like being a 13-year-old. You're not a cute little kid anymore, but you're not a teenager either. You're in this weird in-between spot, and it kind of sucks, and you just are happy to get out of it. Can't get sticks in Betaflight. Tried everything. Reflashed everything. Set all correct UARTs. Wiring is right. Receiver is bound. Okay, well, something isn't right. But we are not going to solve that in the live stream, especially during the lightning round. Email me, and we'll try to fix it. Any advice on getting more confident with flying? I've had my 5-inch for a couple months, and I find myself chickening out before doing something with any risk. Yes, buy 3 more drones. That way, when you break one, you've got 3 more ready to go. You just have to have money. You have to. The thing is, the reason you're scared is because you don't have enough money for spares, or you don't feel confident repairing the drone. You have to get over that, or you have to accept that you're just going to be timid and you're not going to do radical shit. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I knew somebody once, he said, I've had the same drone for 5 years. And I was like, and you've never crashed it? And he's like, yeah, I just take it out, I fly it around in a field. Good for you. If that's fun for you, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to do radical shit, you're going to break stuff, and you have to just get over it. If you don't have the budget to replace the stuff you break, or you don't have the skill to repair your own drone, then you're going to have a hard time doing radical shit. That's it. That's the bottom line. That's the lightning round answer anyway. Darvin says, quick question for everyone. Does anyone have the same problem on your Whoop where your battery comes loose after a crash easily? Put some electrical tape around the battery to give it a little bit more size and a little bit more friction, is what I would suggest. When connected to Betaflight in the receiver tab, my yaw axis jitters by plus or minus 3 when I'm in the middle. Tried to do a deadband, but it doesn't work. You should have more deadband. If it's jittering by plus or minus 3, give it 5 points of deadband and you should be good to go. That's how deadband works. You know that deadband, the yaw axis will still jitter even when you have deadband. It's just the drone won't move. That's the other thing. Let's see here. Do you know anything about Impulse RC closing and the Apex frames no longer being available? Yeah, Impulse RC is closed. They're no longer producing the Apex frames. And as far as I know, they didn't sell their IP to anybody, so no one else is going to produce them either. Again, this is the lightning round, so that's the quick answer. But I believe that the Apex frames are just done. Tell me if I'm incorrect about anything there. I'm gonna go back to the question about getting more confident, even though it's the lightning round. Here's the other thing I would say. Confidence comes from practice. So, like, if you're just, like, kind of a chicken, like, do things slowly, work up to tricks. Don't just, like, go full speed, fling yourself into a gap, crash, and break your shit. There is a way to practice, gain competence, and gain confidence. So, like, if it's just that you're scared because you've never done it before, slowly work up to it, okay? But ultimately, like, you're going to break stuff, and you do need to be able to repair it. How can I fix the vibration issue on my GepRC Vapor X5? What is the manifestation of the vibration? Unfortunately, Julian Posh, here in the lightning round, we may not have time to answer this, but, like, what is the symptom of the vibration? You've told me the diagnosis is that you have vibration. Is it jello in the camera? Is it, without knowing that, I'm afraid I can't tell you the answer. If I have multiple quads, should I create multiple models in Edge TX? Or can I use the same one? Use the same one as long as they all have the same flight controller software, like Betaflight, iNav, etc. And as long as they all have the same channel layout, then use the same model. It doesn't matter.
We have some super chats. I don't know if you want to grab those.
Yeah. I'm going to get them. I'm just trying to bang through some of these real quick. I'm almost done. Is the Boxer Max worth the money, or should I buy the Boxer Crush? That's tough. I think the Crush still comes with the upgraded gimbals, doesn't it? I'm not sure. Have you used the new turtle mode in Betaflight 2512? No, I haven't used it at all. I like the way things have. I don't like new things. I like things to stay the way that they are. Have you ever broken a window on your house or crashed a drone into your car? Knock on wood, I have not. Are the HDZero Box Pro goggles just the goggles too, except with one screen? Yes, basically. Is HDZero a good system for freestyle and tiny whoops? For tiny whoops and racing, yes, HDZero is a good system. For freestyle, I think no, because it doesn't have the penetration that people want from a freestyle system. A lot of times freestyle involves flying around obstacles, around buildings, inside buildings, and HDZero has, long story short, HDZero has poor penetration compared to analog or DJI or anything. Okay, we're going to knock out the last couple super chats, and then we're going to wrap up for the day. No more super chats, please. And no more questions. How does the eSheen 300D goggles diversity work? Thank you for $2. I don't know. Like the way that it works is, like, I don't know if these goggles are they're just regular diversity goggles. Okay. So basically, whichever antenna has stronger signal, the goggle switches to that antenna. That's how analog diversity modules work. And I assume that's the same for the Eachine 300D. Can you still buy these? Shut up. You cannot buy these. Shut up. How can you still buy the Eachine EV300D? That's wild. Like, I don't... Oh, and then if it's got four-way diversity, it basically does the same thing. It just between the four antennas, whichever has the strongest signal, that's the one it switches to. GEP-RC flight controller died on accident disarm. Ever happened to you? Thank you for €2. I have never killed a flight controller because I disarmed. I have disarmed by accident. Evangelosiano242, thank you for €6. Should I put an ELRS receiver on my 04 quad so I can use a different controller? I would do that. I like to do that. But other people argue that if you lose video, well, what's the point of having control anyway? And they just like the simplicity. I do that because I don't like the DJI RC controller. So if you like the DJI RC controller, I think there's a pretty compelling argument that you don't need an Express LRS receiver. Just use the DJI RC controller and have one link. And thank you for 100 rupees from Ninja Lemon. Let's just make sure. Nope, no question. Just Ninja Lemon Squash beans. Thank you for 100 rupees. All right, guys, that's going to do it. We will be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. at our normal time. And I do want to show you, I actually recently planned out scheduled out the entire live stream schedule for the next little bit. So if you go to my YouTube channel and you go to live, you can see it's scheduled all the way out through June. There are some gaps in there, but now you know when the gaps are going to be, and you can plan your travel accordingly. Yes, Plenty.
I'll just mention it because it's on screen. There's a wrong title on the second to last video.
Oh no! Shut up. For real? Which one? Which one's mistaken? Is it this one, March 23rd? Yeah, that's wrong, isn't it? Oh, thank you. Hello, edit video. What's the date for that? June 14th. Ah, shit. Yeah, it's so sloppy. Thank you. June 14th, 2026. Save. Okay. Is that the one? Or is there another one? Okay. All right, guys. That's going to do it for this stream. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Bye.